More than the picture of desert, famine, and war projected by its various misfortunes over the last 3 decades, Ethiopia, the cradle of mankind, goes back 5.9 million years. Its natural wealth and cultural diversity continue to fascinate travelers to this ancient land in the Horn of Africa. September 12, 2007, on the Gregorian calendar, marked the beginning of the year 2000 on the Ethiopian calendar. As Prime Minister Meles Zenawi said during the celebration of the Ethiopian millennium, quote, "It is with rekindled hope and confidence in the last years of the second millennium that I call upon you to realize the Ethiopian Renaissance in all its forms, politically, economically, socially, and culturally." The following is a presentation of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization's programs towards the sustainable industrial development of Ethiopia.
UNIDO is the United Nations agency that has been mandated to promote sustainable industrial development in developing countries and their economies in transition. It is a worldwide organization with its headquarters in Vienna, Austria, but we have field offices throughout the world. We have regional offices, and the one here in Addis Ababa is a regional office which is promoting UNIDO's mandate in this region. In pursuing our work, we have 3 thematic priorities. One is poverty reduction. As we know, this is one of the priorities in the Millennium Development Goals, so to reduce poverty by half by the year 2015. So UNIDO's work is contributing to that through employment and income generation. We are also working in the theme of trade capacity building. This is because developing countries and countries in Africa particularly, they are very small players in the international trade. Therefore, we try to build capacities of the countries like Ethiopia and others in the region to participate more actively in the international trade, so build trade capacities in these countries. The third area is in the area of energy and environment. For development and for industrial development, one needs energy. And energy is important in this respect, but this has to be done in an efficient way. So UNIDO has programs to support the supply of energy in support of sustainable industrial development, and of course the area of environment, so as to make sure that industrial development takes place in a sustainable manner.
This regional office covers 4 countries in Eastern Africa, and it includes Ethiopia, it includes Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. In addition to that, we have a number of activities that we implement together with Africa Union and also the Economic Commission for Africa. When it comes to the 4 countries, we usually work in close cooperation with the Ministry of Trade Industries present in these countries, and which usually indicates the priorities areas to which they require our assistance.
The development strategy we have put in place in 2003 is producing results in many respects. I can single out certain sectors. For instance, in the last years of the 90s, we were not exporting textile at all. And now, our share of exporting textile in forms of garment has been increasing. So from 0, we are exporting over 10 million US dollars of textile and garment products. Before 2 years, there was no thinking of possibly exporting shoe. At least now we have 2-3 companies who have continuously been exporting in the order of $300,000 to $500,000 a month, and this is happening continuously for the last 1.5 years or so. And before 3-4 years, there was no buyer who has interest on buying Ethiopian shoe. But this day, we have 4 or 5 of them in the country, and our problem is not a buyer. It's now rather a capacity to supply to these buyers. In the floriculture, it's not per se an industry, but by its nature, it's an industry by looking at it from a different angle, because it's not ordinary agriculture, particularly the floriculture sector, and we are doing good on that. 3 years before, our export on this product was negligible, and now we export 4 million every month of flowers only.
The Ethiopian government has issued an industrial development strategy which identified our priority areas based on our comparative advantage, and to encourage investors in these areas, such as in textile and textile garments, leather and leather products, in agro-processing, in agriculture, in hotels and tourism. All sorts of comprehensive package of incentives are given to investors. And land is also issued now in a short span of time at a very low rate to encourage investment, particularly in our priority areas. So all sorts of measures to encourage investors have been taken by the government, and it will continue in the future as well.
As I told you, the government has given a big priority to the textile and garment because, it drags so many numbers of the employees, as you see it. In 1.5 years, I have about 130, 140 employees. So it means even a small factory can occupy a large number of employees. We are facing even vacancy of workers because the demand and the supply is not equal. Nothing have been done in the last 30, 40 years for the textile and garment. So it will be difficult now to compete, but once they are upgraded, our factories, our textile mills, once we have more investors from outside, which is they invest in the textile and garment, so we can say that it is good for the country. It will be, I think, good for the future even, so it will be a big potential.
Our sector is a ready-made garment, comprises 2 different sectors. One is the woven and knitted ready-made garment, and the other one is hand flat knitted sweaters. So we are part of the hand knitted sweaters manufacturers. We used to have a capacity problem because we use with a very small capacity, and the network between each individual hand knitters were very insignificant. After the UNIDO CDP, we managed to form our cluster. We call it self-help group. So through that self-help group, we managed to achieve common activities